Welcome back to this series about my graduation celebration in Orlando. Today I am going to tell you about my experience at a celebration of Harry Potter and why I think the premium package is worth it. So first of all, with the premium package, you receive this nifty little universal little binder that has all your tickets in it. So I've got a little paper with all of the workshop times, and it's all my whole itinerary for the weekend, so we knew what we were doing. I went with my cousin and her husband, who had been to, I think this was their 4th celebration, so they knew what they were doing and they planned the whole thing, so I didn't have to worry about not knowing where I was going or missing anything, because they knew exactly how to do it so that we got to see everything. This binder also included a sheet with all of the workshops on it and a pamphlet about the celebration, a schedule of all of the events going on for that 3 days, and then in this side it had all of our tickets in it. I still have a ticket from the workshops because we didn't attend one of them. With the premium package, we also received this box from Audible that says "Hear the Magic," and inside were our lanyards. This is the premium package lanyard that got me into all of the Q&As and into the after hours stuff, and got us to the front of all of the Q&As. This lanyard with a celebration of Harry Potter 2018 written on it contained my park ticket for all 3 days, so that way it was always around my neck, didn't have to dig it out when we were running back and forth from park to park. This box also contained this little Mina Lima wallet. Specifically for the celebration of Harry Potter 2018, which is pretty cute. That's really cool. Mina Lima are the graphic designers who worked on all 8 of the Harry Potter films. This box also contained the special pin that we got with the 2018 logo for a celebration of Harry Potter. If you saw my last video, my haul video, then you've already seen that. We also received all of these nifty little Mina Lima print catalog. And Mina Lima were there doing Q&As, as well as just they were in the expo signing. So you could buy the print there. You could pay $300 for the print that was pre-signed, or you could pay $150, I think it was, for a not signed print, and then you could go meet them and have them sign it. So you decide what the better deal is there. Friday we had breakfast at the Three Broomsticks, and Friday was mostly just like ride stuff day, like see Universal. So we rode Forbidden Journey, we did Ollivanders, and my family was the only people in Ollivanders, so I got picked to be the person getting their wand and got to go through that whole experience. That was cute. At the end of that experience they offer the wand that they chose for you. You can buy it for like 50 bucks, but I chose not to buy that one because I wanted to buy a character wand of someone who we were meeting. So I got Ginny's wand. We rode E.T., we met Princess Poppy, we met #the Panda, and rode the Jimmy Fallon Race to New York ride. That one, that was like the main thing that I was worried about outside of Harry Potter, getting that in, because I love Jimmy Fallon. That night we went to the opening ceremony, where because we are the premium, we didn't have to wait around. We just got to show up, like, we might have showed up 20 minutes in advance, and there's a section specifically for the premium package holders, and you don't have to wait in line. You just go right up to the front, right in front of the stage. So we were right in front of the stage when the cast walked out, and that was really cool. And then after the opening ceremony finished, we got the park to ourselves, the premium packages. So all of the regular guests went out of the park, and we had all of Harry Potter to ourselves. So they were debuting the new Hogwarts light show that night in Hogsmeade. So we figured it was going to be really busy over there, so we went to Diagon Alley first. They tell you that they're providing food. So, and my cousin had done it before, and there had been like real food. So this is what we're expecting going in, and we're pretty hungry. And we get into Diagon Alley, and it's the first time that I got to see it at night, so that was pretty cool. And then there are all these food carts set up. They're giving out pumpkin juice and water and lemonade and lots of fun stuff. So we go up to the food carts, and the first one is tortilla chips and salsa, pita chips and hummus, and potato chips and like chip dip. And we were like, okay, cool, some chips. And then we went to the next cart, and the next cart, and they were all the same thing. And we were like, oh man, I really wanted food. So we ate some chips, and I got a drink or whatever from the water carts. And then it was all you can eat ice cream. We went in to get ice cream, and I was afraid I wouldn't like the Harry Potter flavors, so I got 1 scoop of chocolate and 1 scoop of the sticky toffee pudding. And oh my goodness, the sticky toffee pudding was so good. It was really sweet, but I didn't want the butterbeer because I figured that would be too sweet and like so butterscotchy. But the sticky toffee pudding was so good, oh my goodness. After we ate our ice cream, we got to go ride Gringotts, and being that there's like hardly anybody in the park, there's no line, you just walked in. I got cool pictures of us in the entry of Gringotts with no one else in there, so that's really neat. And then after Gringotts, we took the train over to Hogsmeade, and they had chicken. They had all the chips and everything, but they also had chicken, and they had dessert trays, or dessert carts. We didn't make it to the dessert carts because we were pretty full on ice cream. So we ate some more chips, we ate some of the chicken, and we watched the castle show. And then it was also all the butterbeer you can drink. So we got a hot butterbeer after riding Forbidden Journey again. On our way out, we drank the hot butterbeer on our way out, which was really good. I'm really glad I got to try it. Saturday was the big day. Saturday morning, we left at about 9:30 to start walking to the parks, and we went to Blue Man Group and got in line to meet the cast. We got there at about 10-ish, and our meet and greet time was at 10:30. So we just sat on the ground and sort of made friends in line, talked to some people, and tried not to freak out too much. When they finally started letting people go in, then we got to the front of the line, and I was wearing buttons for graduation and my birthday. And the girl letting us in, was like, make sure they see your buttons. We got inside and we're waiting in line to meet the Phelps twins, and my cousin looks at me and she's like, are you excited? And I'm like, don't say that word. I'm trying to stay calm. I'm trying to act like a normal human. So there's a lady in there who handed out headshots to have them sign in case you didn't bring anything. I brought an old Goblet of Fire journal that I had forever and had them sign that. So I got up to the Phelps twins, and they stood up and shook my hand and introduced themselves and asked my name, and I really didn't know what to say. But they were so nice, they were so sweet. They carried on a conversation with me, which was so nice. They asked me about, they saw my buttons, so they asked me, they congratulated me on graduating. They asked me where I graduated from, with what degree, and when the graduation was, and if this was my first celebration, and how I was liking it. And they were so nice, and my picture turned out so good, and I'm so excited about everything. And I walked away to meet back up with my cousin after, and I was like, how red is my face? And they were like, your face is really red. As to be expected. That's just the way my face is. Next up was Stanislav Yanevsky, who played Victor Crumb. he really liked my Goblet of Fire journal. That was exciting. He was looking at it and he saw the bookmark has a little metal Goblet of Fire on the end, and then the top of the pages has eggs on it, and I showed him that one cover is the first task and the other task, or the other cover is the second task, and he thought that was really cool. So then he signed it, and then Tolga Safer, who played Karkaroff's aide in Goblet of Fire, was traveling with him, and so like I called him over and I was like, hey, you want to come sign this? And he was texting, so he didn't hear me, and the girl taking pictures was like, Tolga. And he looked up and was like, oh, and Stan was like, stop playing games, and we all laughed. And it was a magical moment. So Tolga came over and signed my book, and then we took a picture, all three of us, and that picture turned out good. Also, the girl had, as I walked up, had asked me if it was okay if she took a bunch of pictures, so I have like 6 pages of pictures of me talking to Victor Crumb, and I am so okay with that. The next cast member in line was Bonnie Wright, who played Ginny Weasley, and oh, that was exciting. Like, she shook my hand and asked my name. I think she commented on my buttons or asked me about my buttons, but I honestly can't remember my interaction with her. So last, but certainly not least, was Natalia Tenna, who played Tonks, and I got up to her and she shook my hand and asked my name, and then she saw my buttons and she was like, what, you graduated and it's your birthday? And she got so excited. She was like, oh my gosh, everything is happening. She got up and hugged me, and it was my favorite. Oh my goodness, it was so exciting. So then she wrote in my journal, and then as we were walking out, my cousin's husband looked at me and was like, you are smiling from ear to ear. We got out the door and I was like, I'm gonna need a minute. And my cousin says, are you gonna cry? And I was like, yes. So her husband was like, okay, we can go sit down up here. So we went and sat down. I cried a little bit, and it was so good. I just loved it so much. It was the best experience ever. These are the headshots that they gave us for the twins. Here is my autograph from the twins. They wrote to Lindsay, which is exciting. And they wrote Mischief Managed and signed their names. I said they could have had their own pages. And then here is Stan. And there is, whoopsie, there's his signature. He wrote with love. And then there is Tolga. He wrote Karkaroff's aide underneath. Didn't have headshots for him because he was not official. And here's Bonnie's. Bonnie just wrote her name. And here is Natalia's. And she wrote to Lindsay, you are winning. Don't call me Nymphadora, and signed it. Well, I don't know what to do with this now though. Like, where does one keep their prized possession? I'm just so excited about it. After our meet and greet, we just chilled in the city walk for about an hour before we went to the first Q&A, and that is where we discovered that Stan is hilarious. Like, we were prepared for the twins to be the comic relief, because we figured they'd play off each other pretty well. But Natalia and Stan were both really funny. It got to a point, like, by the end of the first Q&A, when Stan said, can I answer that one? I was like, I should turn my camera on for this. After that, we had the public Q&A, so we ran over to the other park and got our spots up front with the premium package. This is why I say the premium package is so important to have, because you don't have to wait in line and you are guaranteed a good spot. In between the first Q&A and the public Q&A, my brother and my dad were just walking around the park and did happen to run into Stan. He was looking at the chalk art that someone had done of him and Hermione at the Yule Ball, and happened to literally bump into my brother. So my brother just has a talent for finding celebrities, so that's fun. Saturday night they had the tribute, which was another Q&A with the cast, and then we got the expos to ourselves for an hour and a half. The expos were really cool. I really liked the expos. One of the expos included like the Cursed Child costumes, which I think I talked about in my other video. They had the chair that Slughorn turns into, and they were doing demonstrations letting people, sometimes they had like the staff member do the demonstration, and sometimes they let other people do it, which was cool. They just got to pop their head through and put their arms in the sleeves and stuff, and that was pretty neat. There was Pottermore, where you could get sorted into your house and get your Patronus and everything. There was Audible, where you could do a trivia challenge, which we did. They had props from the movies, like Rita Skeeter's quill and notebook, and Sirius's number plaque from Azkaban, and the Portkey boot, a snitch, and omnoculars, and programs from the Quidditch World Cup. There was a baby Harry with a letter and a Owlmobile. Those were all really cool. But my favorite expo was the other one, which had the costumes from so they had Ginny, George, and Fred's costumes from Bill and Fleur's wedding. They had Lucius Malfoy's costume, Bellatrix's costume, Crumb and Tonks' costumes, and then they had the Fantastic Beasts costumes, and those were all really cool. You got to go up and look at them up close, and that was really exciting, especially because there was also a Q&A with the costume designer, and I love listening to the costume designer because there's so many things that you don't necessarily think about. She put in so much thought to every costume. Like with Ron's wedding costume, they had Ron, Hermione, and Harry's up on stage with her, and then the Beauxbatons, Rita Skeeter, and Sirius's green suit. And she talked about how on Harry's, he bought his because he had money, so that it looked real nice, but Ron's, his mom is making his clothes, so the lapels are too big, and this isn't quite right, and all of that, and I just love that so much. In that expo, there was also the studio tour, which is my favorite thing. Oh my gosh, that was so cool. It's the actual candles from the Great Hall, the actual Goblet of Fire, Umbridge's smoking costume, the letter shooter through the mail slot, the actual carpet from the Dursleys' home, I think, and then we got to pose with Dobby's cake and Marge's fat suit from when Harry blew her up. After the letter shooter went off, we got to keep one of the letters. That's pretty nifty. It was in my bag that I wore all weekend, and it rained on Sunday, so it's not perfect, but I'm still excited about it. In that expo, there was also the MinaLima booth, where MinaLima, the graphic designers, were signing prints and stuff. You could go up and meet them. I did not realize what a big job graphic design was. The Scholastic booth was giving out free pins, which I showed in my haul video, free posters, free prints of the concept art for the new illustrated versions of the 20th anniversary. While we had all these expos to ourselves, they had tables set up in the streets of New York so you could sit down, and there was a coffee bar, salad bars, all you care to enjoy, wine and beer. I don't like wine or beer, so I drank water. There was several different dessert bars, ate a lot of that stuff, and then there were people walking around with hors d'oeuvre plates. So there were jalapeno poppers and bruschetta and chicken tenders. I was really excited about the chicken tenders. Tons of different little plates that they walked around with, and we just picked them up, and spring rolls, lots of fun stuff. And then the Death Eaters came out for a little bit and took pictures. There's a picture of me on my Instagram dueling a Death Eater. There's also a picture of me on my Instagram in the Scholastic booth in the Sorcerer's Stone cover. That was cool. Gave you a little broom to hold. Then I wasn't quite as late of a night. I think we were done at 9:30 and then walked back to the hotel. And the next morning, Sunday morning, last day of the celebration, we had breakfast at the Leaky Cauldron in Diagon Alley. And And then from there, that day we were running back and forth from park to park to get to the Q&As. We wanted to get to the special effects Q&A, which was really cool. That was, they showed how they made Polyjuice Potion and all these different practical effects, and that was really, I really liked that they had people try the Polyjuice Potion, and I'm glad it wasn't me because it looked pretty disgusting. During that day, in our running back and forth, it poured a lot, but my robes kept me dry. There was a workshop on the puppets that they use in the shows in Diagon Alley, so we saw the puppets up close, sort of, for the Tale of the Three Brothers, and got to see how they work and stuff, and learn a little bit more about the puppetry. And then there was a workshop on the wand combat, and that was probably my favorite. That might have been my favorite that day. The wand combat was really cool. So as the choreographer of all of the wand combat from films 5 through 8, he had 3 people that he had worked with before, and then picked 3 other people who had done wand combat classes come up, and they went backstage. They put together a whole scene of a battle, and then they came out while he talked a little bit about some stuff and how he like planned the combat and everything, and then he brought them out. They went through it, and then he gave them directions, said change this, I don't want it this way, okay, go back and work on it a little bit more. And then they came out and they did it one final time through, and it was really cool. I really liked that. So while we're running back and forth between these 2 parks trying to get to these different things, because one's in one park, the next is in the next park, and the next one's in the next park, so we did not have a lot of time in between. We were trying to get there like right before it was going to happen, and because we had the premium pass, we could do that. We could walk right in, no waiting, and just get in there and get our spots up close. Whereas if we didn't have the premium package, we would have had to line up way in advance of the actual Q&A or the panel starting or the workshop starting, and wouldn't necessarily have even gotten a spot. So that is why that's a big reason. Like, the autographs themselves, that whole experience, pretty much worth it on its own, but we would not have gotten nearly as much in if we hadn't had the premium package, because we got to skip all those lines. That is a huge reason to get the premium package, because without it, you miss out on so much. That night was the last Q&A with the cast and the closing ceremonies and everything. If anyone recorded the question where James Phelps said that he would be a Quidditch commentator, and Oliver said that he would own the team, and Bonnie said that she would play on the team, and Stan said that they said that Stan could be the seeker, and Stan said that he's gonna need like an anti-aging spell to continue playing, or he's gonna have to be the coach. If anybody has that whole interaction or even part of it, can you like link it to me either in the comments here or like tweet it to me, because I didn't record that question or any of those answers, and I'm so sad about it. That was like my favorite interaction of the whole 3 days. I loved that part. Oh my gosh, I was dying. I absolutely loved my experience at A Celebration Harry Potter. I went into this getting the premium package because I was like, this is the only chance I'm gonna have to do this. I'm never gonna get to do this again. I might as well go big, do it all, and meet them and everything, get the autographs and do the premium stuff. But after doing it, like, I have to go back next year and I have to do the premium package forever. Like, if you go big or go home, like, I have to do it. I loved it so much, and the premium package, just, you get so much out of it. There's so much to do, and having the park to yourselves at night and getting to do all of the things, like up front and see everything, and getting to meet the cast is just so cool, and the only way to get everything in, or otherwise you miss so much, and it's just, oh, I loved it so much. This is one thing about the premium package. You pay all this money and you do this shutter buttons thing that you paid for, and it's all these videos that you gotta act out, but then they also have you take a few pictures, and the pictures are not included. You have to buy those separately for like $28 a piece. And I'm like, no. So that's one thing, like, I feel like those should be included. If they're gonna do all of that, then I think the photos should be included in the package. So that was my experience at the celebration of Harry Potter 2018 with the premium package. If you would like to see a little bit more of this stuff, you can follow me on Instagram, check out my Twitter, and like, feel free to ask me questions. Going into the celebration, there weren't a lot of people talking about it online, and I didn't like that. I was like, I want to find other people who are excited and see what they're saying. And I didn't see that. So if you have questions about my experience or want to know anything, go ahead and ask me on here or on Twitter or on Instagram or whatever. And if you'd like to hear a little bit more about the things I bought and everything, then you can check out my haul video. And if you want to hear about my experience with all the things I did in Disney for my graduation celebration, go ahead and subscribe so you can see those videos coming out. And I will see you next time.